What's going on, everybody? This is Dave Mays. I'm the creator of The Source. But right now, I want you to check out my new platform, BreakBeat Media, first hip hop podcast network. And I'm here with Brianna checking in for Hip Hop United. So check it out.
Dave Mays, everybody, Hip Hop United. You know, such a pleasure to be speaking with you, and welcome to my platform.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Good. Thanks. So yeah, what you been up to?
I took some time off for a few years and kind of, regrouped and got my ideas together for what I'm doing now, because I kind of had a sense of something I wanted to do, and I just needed to really figure out the right way to do it. So I moved out to Chicago and to DC. I've been back and forth there, and ended up launching this platform. It's called BreakBeat. It's a multimedia podcast network for the hip hop community. We have 8 podcasts going right now, different types of podcasts. Some are, audio and visual. Some are audio. We're doing, like the host kind of interview discussion type podcast, but we're also doing what you would call the more journalistic side of podcasting, which is a huge part of the podcasting industry. Is just one that, the hip hop community isn't really represented in any way in that part of the podcasting world. So by that I mean like podcast documentaries. We're doing 2 documentary series right now. The first one is a 8-part series on the story of the unsigned hype column in The Source. So for anyone that, a lot of people know, but who don't know, through Unsigned Hype, where we review demo tapes every month in The Source, we discovered a lot of big names in hip hop before they ever had their record deals, and helped a lot of them get signed. So Biggie's one of the biggest, but Common, Mobb Deep, DMX, Eminem, Capone Noriega, Jay Electronica, a bunch of others are all artists that were in The Source Unsigned Hype before they got signed. And so we tell the whole backstory of that as like a documentary series, interviewing everybody and telling the story. And then the other one is the Larry Hoover story. I was able to work with the family for the first time. They're allowing someone and entrusting me and BreakBeat to help really tell Larry's story. It's a 10-part series. We've been in production on that for the last 4 or 5 months. It's going great. Very, very important story that needs to be told, has never really been told in any really in-depth, meaningful kind of way. People just always just paint him in one corner, a lot, at least the mainstream media. So, and hopefully we can help change the public perception about him and his case, so that he can get home. So I'm doing those type of podcasts, and that's just the beginning for BreakBeat,
Okay. I can see from the way that you're explaining this, I could actually see this being a documentary on a television network. Is that in the works?
A documentary on
like you're telling the story of like Larry Hoover,
right?
Yeah, and what 50 Cent is doing with like Big Meech.
Yes,
he's putting it on Stars as a series.
Yeah. No, that's one of the great things about podcasting, and why I chose podcasting to launch the network. Podcasting is like, to me, it's really the new wave of things. It's been around for a while, and of course now people are starting to become more widely familiar with it, but it still has a huge growth in front of it. It's going to be around for a long time. There's a lot of people that really aren't up on the whole podcast world. Some of it is what you see on YouTube, but a lot of it is what people listen to to on the podcast apps, Apple Podcast apps, Spotify podcasts. It's just a huge space out there. But it's also a space where, new voices can get brought out, new talent can get, discovered and highlighted, things that you don't hear or see in the mainstream media, you can find in the podcast world. Okay. And then telling a story like a Larry Hoover story or the Unsigned Hype story, a lot of podcasts are being turned into movies, documentaries, TV shows. It's a big thing now within Hollywood of getting into podcasts as a way to develop these kinds of stories. So that's another strategic reason that, I chose podcasting, because those are things that we want to do going forward with BreakBeat.
Who are some of the, is it more so legendary type artists, or that you're telling the story about or trying to focus on? Or
no, I mean, that's a great question. The vision of BreakBeat, the main thing really is that it's a network that's designed to help bring the three generations of hip hop together more, okay? Because hip hop now spans, 15 to 55, 60 years old, of people, millions of people that have grown up from a young age being influenced by hip hop. Now, through the music, there's a narrative that's been pushed for, some years now, which is, this mumble rap, this isn't real hip hop. The older people say, the younger people say, oh, you're just out of touch, or whatever, you're just bitter, whatever the case may be. So, but the way I see it is, hip hop is way more complex and deeper than just music. The music is the biggest part of the business. It's the driving, engine of the multi-billion dollar hip hop culture around the world. Mm-hmm. Beneath the surface of the music, let's say you're 48 years old and someone else is 21 years old, you might not like the same music at those two ages. You might, or you might not. You might not like all the same artists and what have you. But beneath the surface, the way you think about things in the world, the way your perspective on everything, the way we watch sports, the way we react to things in the news, people that have been influenced by hip hop, I think we share a certain perspective and a way of thinking about the world that's unique to the hip hop culture, and that crosses over all kinds of boundaries, which is what really makes hip hop so powerful, because it can connect all these different communities and different types of dividers that are out there keeping us apart. So I just feel like a network that's creating content that isn't just about the music. Yeah, we'll be covering the music, but we'll cover, some of it's the history, but some of it's, what's going on now in the world of, investing, and what's going on now in, in the health. We're going to cover sports, health, business, entertainment, of course, a whole wide variety, history, different things like that. But it's all going to be for the hip hop community in a way that we can relate, which is kind of what I did and tried to do for years at The Source, create that kind of comprehensive platform where we were the magazine of hip hop music, culture, and politics. So you got all of that when you turn the pages of The Source magazine. Yeah, you might have wanted to read, the Tupac interview, but you were also reading all kinds of other information in there. And I just feel like that's missing right now. Hip hop is, it's bigger than it's ever been. It's all over the place. You could find content and information and different things everywhere. But I think within all that, there's a big void. And that's the idea of BreakBeat, is to kind of create a network that can help bring the different generations of hip hop more together as a community through content and discussion and that type of thing.
It's a lot of older people that they want to get into the industry. I don't know if it's like they just have a desire to get into it when they're in their 40s. How do you feel about that? Because I get a lot of people coming to me, hey, can you help break my music? And I'm like, okay, like your sound is not today's sound. What do you feel about the people that are older rappers and they might be talented? Would this be a great platform for them to?
Well, I think eventually. I mean, I think the problem is that, and this goes really back to what I was just saying about hip hop being sort of divided up into different bits and pieces rather than being more organized together. So there isn't really a good market for the mature hip hop market, an audience of people. There's people that's 45 to 50, 60 years old that we all grew up on hip hop. We all do have certain things that we would be interested in, but nobody's been catering to that, and
Right.
even through the music. So there isn't even opportunities the way there should be for some of the biggest legends of hip hop. These artists from the 70s, the 80s, and even, from the 90s who helped pave the way for everything. They barely can figure out how to be, have to make some kind of, living or whatever. There should be more of a market for that. And I think there's a few reasons why it hasn't matured or developed, and that leads to the kind of, situation you're describing. So I think in time, that we can create that. There's things that we're going to share together, but there's also some things, I might want to go to an EPMD concert really badly, and someone else might not. But I'm also going to want to go to the 21 Savage, show or whatever. I think we'll see.
What kind of advice could you give to some artists that are trying to get on this platform?
Well, I mean, you can come follow us on social media and, communicate with us through social media at BreakBeat Media, on IG and Twitter. And our website is breakbeatmedia.com, and there's a way to contact us through the website. Right now we have like 8 shows going, and some of them, we don't really have a music show yet. I mean, that's one of the challenges of the podcast business, is that, it doesn't have a way for podcasters to play music without having like, a huge legal or expensive situation. So, that makes it a little more difficult, but we also will be, trying to highlight new music like through our social media and other channels like that. And, we're going to be growing and doing different things. So, we definitely want to be in tune. And that's really part of, like what I want BreakBeat to do, is be an outlet for talent. It could be young, it could be old, it could be, but you don't have to be somebody known or have some type of resume, we're always looking for new things. So we're going to be adding new podcasts, each month as we go forward. I didn't talk about some of the other ones. I mentioned the documentaries, but, I have these two shows that I'm really excited that I call, like, these are the unsigned hypes of BreakBeat. Mm-hmm. So that's the Don't Call Me White Girl show, which is hosted by Don't Call Me White Girl, who's a light-skinned black woman from Philadelphia. A lot of you guys actually know her, even if you don't know her name, but a lot of you do. But she's the one behind Why You Being Weird to Me. She created that, and probably one of the biggest viral moments of the year already. Mm-hmm. And she was on $1 Million Worth of Game with Gillian Wallow last year for like 3 months. She was a co-host with them. She's really, really funny, really smart. Her podcast is really interesting and entertaining. We put out about 5 episodes so far. You can find those on the BreakBeat Media YouTube channel. And that's where like all of our visual content is living. And then you can also find all of our podcasts on Spotify or the Apple Podcasts app, or anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
Okay.
So the other one is here in Atlanta is Funny Marco, who I'm sure everybody follows already. I mean, he's been keeping us laughing, week after week now for a long time, and he's built up a huge following independently. But I just think he has a special, really unique comedic, talent and sense. And I think that, through his podcast, we can help kind of begin to take him into other spaces with his career beyond what he's, doing so well already.
So with the Funny Marco, is that you guys are doing a show? Is it gonna? How can we view this?
It'll be on the same places. It's just going to premiere in a couple of weeks. Where that's one of the things I want to talk to you about too.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be premiering it on YouTube, on the BreakBeat Media YouTube, and also on the podcast apps. We're about to drop the trailer this week, and then the episodes will start coming out every week. Yeah, it's gonna be great. He's amazing. He's super talented, and I'm really happy to be working with him, as well as Mona. So, yeah.
Definitely. Well, congratulations on just everything that you've accomplished throughout the years until now. You're still doing your thing, still relevant in the industry. I mean, hey, I look forward to working back with you. You know what I'm saying?
Great.
I look forward to it. Let me know what I can do, to get Hip Hop United, my platform on BreakBeat,
Sure. Yeah, I definitely want to talk to you more about a few things. It's good to reconnect. Glad to be here.
Well, you've already left your social media handles. Like I said, we're going to talk again, in the future, near future. It was a pleasure, once again, like I said, for you to come to my platform. And, I do appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, look forward to, checking it out.
All right.
Thanks.
No problem.